Let us discuss one more output type of question. This time the output type of question is based on functions. Okay, so you are provided with a program. Theoretically, you need to calculate the output of the program without the help of the computer. Execution of a Python program starts and ends at the main function. So this is a user defined function by the name change. So when you run the program, control will not come here first. This is your main function. How did you understand that this is the main function? Just see the indentation of the code. Okay, so this is indented to the left, and this is the keyword def, which means you create a function by the name change. So this much part is a user defined function. So certainly this is the main function. So when you run the Python program, execution starts here and execution ends here. Okay, so this is the first line to be executed when you run the program. So r is equal to 150. What is the meaning of that? Variable r points to integer data 150. Let me represent that. You can see variable r points to integer data 150. Now next line, s is equal to 100. What's the meaning of that? Variable s points to integer data 100. Done. Now the next line, r is equal to change. When you see this symbol, understand that it is a function. Now on encountering a function call, finally control reaches the point where the function is defined. So finally the control comes here. Now the first argument is passed to first parameter. So variable r is passed to p, meaning now your variable p points to variable r. So p is pointing to variable r, which means now your variable p points to integer data 150. Okay. Now the second argument is passed to second parameter. So what is the meaning of q is equal to 30? Suppose if the second argument was not given, then the default value 30 comes in variable q, and if the second argument is given, that comes in variable q. So this is very important. So here in this example, the second argument is given. So variable s point is passed to variable q. Now this is meaningless. So when is this meaningful? If the second argument was not given, then 30 comes in variable q. Okay, so here anyway the second argument is given, so variable s is passed to variable q, or your variable q points to variable s. So variable q points to the integer data 100. Done. So please understand, on encountering a function call, finally control reaches the point where the function is defined. Now the first argument is passed into first parameter, the second argument is passed into second parameter. Okay. Now p is equal to p plus q. Assignment operator, meaning right hand side is assigned to left hand side. So what is p? 150. What is q? It is 100. So 150 plus 100, 250, that is assigned to p, or now your variable p points to the integer data 250. Okay, so please understand that p is pointing to 150, q points to 100. So 150 plus 100, it is 250, that is assigned to p. 1 equal to sign is the assignment operator. So now your variable p is pointing to the integer data 250. You can see this is gone, and now your variable p points to integer data 250. Now q is equal to p minus q. Assignment operator, 1 equal to sign is the assignment operator. Right hand side should be assigned to left hand side. What is p? 250. What is q? 100. So 250 minus 100, 150. So variable q points to the integer data 150. You can see This is gone. Now Q is no longer pointing to this one. Now Q points to the integer data 150. Okay. Now here you get the answer. Okay. So first P displayed. What is P? 250. So in the computer's monitor you get the answer 250 followed by this symbol followed by Q. And what is Q? 150. And after displaying the data, a new line is inserted because the default ending character is new line. Now return P. What is P? 250. So return 250 to where the answer is returned. The answer is returned to the point from where the function was called. So it's a very important point. You return the answer to the point from where the function was called. So here in a temporary variable 250 is saved and now your variable r points to integer data 250. So this is gone. Okay, so now your variable r points to integer data 250. That's gone. Okay. Now, finally, when the control comes back here, the variable names P and Q does not exist because these variable names can be used only inside the function. They are local variables. What is a local variable? A variable that is active and alive inside the function is known as a local variable. So when the control returns to this point, the variables P and Q no longer exist. So this variable does not exist and this Q does not exist. Okay, which means now this integer data 150 cannot be accessed because this variable name does not exist and there is no other variable pointing to this integer data. So this data is gone. Yeah. So finally the control came back here. Okay, now the next line. What's the next line? Print R. What is R? Your variable R points to 250. So in the next line 250 displayed followed by hash followed by S. Your variable S is pointing to 100. Okay, so this is done. Now again next line. Change. It's a function call. The symbol is the meaning function. On encountering a function call, finally control reaches the point where the function is defined. Okay, so finally control comes here. Now, the first argument is passed to the first parameter. So, S is passed to P or variable P points to S. So, variable P points to the integer data 100. Okay, you can see it is pointing to the integer data 100. Now the second argument is not given. So this default value comes in variable Q or Q points to the integer data 30. You can see now Q points to the integer data 30. Now P is equal to P plus Q. So assignment operator, right hand side should be assigned to left hand side. What is P? 100. What is Q? 30. So 100 plus 30, 130. P is pointing to the integer data 130. So you can see this one goes and here P is pointing to the integer data 130. Now Q is equal to P minus Q. Again assignment operator, right hand side should be assigned to left hand side. What is P? 130. What is Q? 30. So what is 130 minus 30? 100. So Q is pointing to the integer data 100. You can see Q is pointing to the integer data 100. Now here you get the third line of answer. P displayed. What is P? 130. Followed by hash. Followed by Q. What is Q? 100. Now return P. What does P contain? 130. So return 130. To where the answer is returned, the answer is returned to the point from where the function was called. So in a temporary variable here 130 is saved. Now your variable s is pointing to the data 130. So this is gone. Now your variable s is pointing to the data 130. This one and this one goes. Finally, when the control comes here, the variable names p and q does not exist because they are local variables and they can be used only inside the respective function. So the variable name p does not exist and the variable name q does not exist, which means this data is lost because there is no other variable pointing to this data. So when variable name q is removed, you cannot access this data in your program or the data is lost. Yeah. And finally here the program terminates. So when you run this program, this is the output that appears in the computer's monitor. So theoretically we calculated the answer. So a word of a reminder, while calling the function, if the second argument is there, the second argument comes in second parameter, so that this default value is meaningless. And if the second argument is not given, the default value comes in the second parameter. Again, one more thing. The second argument is not given. The default value is also not given. It's a syntax error. It's a mistake. Okay. So either the default value should be given or both the arguments must be given. Okay.